Now I'm going to cover off a couple of tips relating to traveling with your bike on the aeroplane. Now we purchased these Sercom bike bags quite a few years ago actually, when we went over to Europe, and the reason why we went to a soft shell bag was due to the weight limitations that airplanes have. So we wanted to make sure that the bag that we're using was as light as possible, which meant that we could put as much as possible into it. Now I used to have a hard case, and one of the issues with that was that I had to dismantle my bike quite a bit, whereas with these Sercom bags that become really popular is that you don't have to dismantle your bike. You can just basically take the wheels off it, put it in the bag, and then when you get to your destination you just put the wheels back on again. Some people like to take their pedals off, but we don't feel that that's necessary. I've never had to take the pedals off the bike. So it means that there's obviously a lot less of an issue when you get to their destination and having to put your bike back together again and not doing things up properly or having some mechanical issues when you first start your first ride. Now I wanted to cover off a quick tip, actually two quick tips with these Sercom bags. One's got to do with making sure that your rear derailleur doesn't get broken, which is one of the common things that happens when traveling with these bags. Now the airlines are getting a lot better with handling these bags, and the incidence of rear derailleur hangers being broken is becoming less and less, but it still is an issue, and it's a tip that a chap called Steve Hogg showed me. I'll show you that tip and I'll show you another tip, so I'm just going to pause the video and we'll get into it. Alright, now in the video just recently I mentioned that we were going to have a couple of tips, but I've actually found a few more that I'll give you while we're running through this video. So anyway, here's Jodie's bike in the Sercom bag, and as you can see it's pretty complete. The only thing that's missing is the wheels, which are basically in these covers here. Now we like to, with the rear wheel, we like to have the cassette facing outwards. So let's have a quick look at it. Hopefully this is the rear wheel. Let's see. Yep, there it is there. And you'll see that we've packed the cassette rearward. And that means that the cassette's facing outside of the bag rather than inside of the bag. So hopefully that will damage, if the bike's compressed, that it means that you're not going to have a cassette go through your frame. Now another thing is that we have this little polystyrene pad. We put that on the top tube, and that's because there's straps. You'll see there's a strap there and a strap here, and they go over your top tube just to hold the whole bag together. So we put a little bit of polystyrene foam there. As you can see, it's gotten a bit torn. We've seen a few trips, but it just helps save scratching your top tube. Now the other thing about the derailleur hanger, before I get into the derailleur hanger, Jodie bought these chain guards. They're just I don't know where she got them from. I think she might have gotten them from eBay, and we use these to stop the grease getting on all the bags that we put into the Sercom bag. Because the great thing about the Sercom bags is that you can put your cycling clothing in, this little space here. So by putting a chain guard on your bike, it allows you to not get grease all over your cycling kit or whatever. So now here's the thing about making sure that your derailleur hanger doesn't get broken. So I'll just unwrap this, and the first thing that you want to do is make sure that your derailleur is set well inside the frame. Alright, so instead of a lot of people, when they take the rear wheel off, the derailleur will be set on the smallest cog, which is here, which means that this derailleur is more exposed, and there's a higher chance of it getting knocked when it's in transport. So although there's a big guard around it, it's amazing what happens when they go through the process of aeroplanes. I don't know what happens, but so what we do is we just make sure we shift the derailleur more further into the bag. Now the other thing is that you'll notice that there's an inner tube attached to the rear derailleur, and this basically is tied down here, and then it just goes up onto the handlebars. And the reason for that is that it pulls the rear derailleur cage down here away from the back of the bag. Alright, and that means that there's less chance of the rear cage being hit when it's in transport. So that's how you save, and we've had no problems with broken rear derailleur hangers by having that issue. You can see this bracket is actually they get close, it is slightly bent because it's had some form of impact. Now Jodie, when she didn't do this, she actually had a bent derailleur hanger when she travelled to Adelaide once, so that's a tip. Now the other thing is that the wheels that come with these Sercon bags aren't great. After running this bag over some cobbles in Italy, we had to replace the wheels on Jodie's bag. So what I've done is I've just gone down to the local hardware store and just purchased some wheels. So we'll just flip it over, and normally they come with these little red wheels, so I just purchased some wheels that are a little bit bigger, and that's what we're using there, and we find that it rolls a bit better. You'll see that, after a while, there's a little bit of wear here where the bag actually rubs on the wheels, so it's just really important to make sure that you've configured your bag properly. This is because Jodie's bike's quite small and it's quite a big bag, so unfortunately we do get a little bit of wheel rub, but you get that with the little wheels as well. Anyway, there you go, those are some of the tips for the Sercon bag. Hope you enjoyed it.